Hello and welcome to the second Electronic Eremite Reviews. I'm your host, the Electronic Eremite. Well, technically this is a review 1.5. Yes, it is the same day. Yes, I am doing 2 reviews right now. Figured while the camera's out, right? If you haven't caught my first review, it is for Dungeon Pets. I'll try to put a link somewhere around that you can click to go over to see Dungeon Pets, or that you can go to the Board Game Geek page and hopefully very soon find it under that. At any rate, go look at it if you're interested in that sort of thing. This review actually is for something completely different. Eminent Domain. It came out quite a bit ago, but haven't done a review yet of it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. It is a deck building game by Seth Jaffee and published by Tasty Minstrel Games. Now, I was one of the Kickstarter supporters for Eminent Domain, so I do have a few cards that might show up that might not be in your box if you buy the game, unless you buy it on eBay or something and get one of the Kickstarter rewards. At any rate, if those show up, I'll try to mention that, but just make sure you know. The boxes also can look a little different. I think this is more of your standard box. There is a collector's edition box that has a number on it and everything. Anyway, without further ado, let me get the pieces out and we can look them over. Alright, and here's the player board that you get with the game. Again, it's a deck building game, so mostly everything is about cards. You do get a few little bits and pieces here. It is a component light game. That is not a criticism. I actually think this game has just the right amount of components. For me, playing Dominion, it takes like 10 minutes just to pull out the cards and make all the decks and everything. Anyway, that is not what you'll find here with Eminent Domain. Eminent Domain is a very streamlined game. Anyway, this is the player board. There's only one of them, and that'll be in the middle of the gaming table. And you're going to put different packs of cards here. They're all the same thing. So, for example, here's a nice thing of survey cards. You're going to put it on the survey action. There you go. And there's warfare, so you're gonna put warfare out here in a nice little pile there. There's colonize. You're gonna put that there. And there's research. You're gonna put that down here. And you've got produce trade. Now, I just put them all out there. Depending on how many players you have, you're gonna have different amounts of cards in each pile, so that's going to affect basically how long the game is, because the game ends when a few of these piles have been emptied. Now, what I really think is interesting about Eminent Domain that makes it a little different than your regular deck building game is that you will get a hand. You basically take a certain amount of each of these actions and put it into a hand. I think, again, it's just like Dominion. I think there's 10 cards in your deck. You draw 5, basically. It's that sort of same similar mechanic there. Now, the difference, though, is that you're going to draw. These are the only cards that you can have in your hand as far as actions are concerned, other than these technology cards. I'm going to talk about those in a second. But these are the only cards. There's not a huge, big thing full of cards like Dominion. These are the only actions you have. And each card actually has 2 different purposes. You have, in your turn, you can do 2 things. You can play an action before you start your turn, and then there's a role you can take. And so each card has a dual purpose. For example, I don't know if you can read that. Let me get it up. The action for survey is to draw 2 cards. The role is then the survey roll. So I'll discuss that. But each card then has a dual purpose. For example, a colonize, a produce trade. They have a thing that you can do as an action, which is basically when your turn first begins, you can take an action, sort of a one-off thing. So you can play one of your cards from your hand as an action, and then you will have to do a roll. Now, here's where this game, Eminent Domain, is totally different, or at least somewhat different from Dominion and things like that. Rather than buying these cards, every turn you're going to add one into your hand and it's completely free. So every turn And every time you do that, every turn that you do that, it's going to make your particular civilization, the theme behind this is that you're spacefaring humans and they're building up colonies, different factions. It's a sort of a loose theme. I like the artwork quite a bit, particularly on the technology cards. This is very utilitarian. I think that's fine to be utilitarian. But at any rate, each turn that you play a role, your particular faction is going to get better at whatever that is. So let me just take, for example, what you might do. On your turn, you might have a hand that has 2 survey cards, 1 warfare, a colonize, and a research. Okay. So there we go. So on my turn, I have to play a role. I have to lead a role. Now, other games might have you, and I know what you're thinking, lead a role. Some of you are out there thinking, oh, right, Glory to Rome. And it is. It's a lot like Glory to Rome in that respect. Some of these mechanics are very much like Glory to Rome, but there's a key difference. So whereas in other games you might be playing one of these to lead a role, that's not how you do it. To lead a role, you decide which one of these out here on the player board you want to lead. I want to lead survey. So I just go ahead, I'm going to put that out there in the middle. Not going to put it on top of the tech cards. I'm going to put that out there in the middle. Now, I can also boost the roll, so any survey cards I have in my hand, I can play, and that'll boost what I'm doing. Oh, I've got 3. That means I can basically do a 3-powered survey action. Survey is how you look at planet cards, which I have in a nice big pile right here. So survey cards will let you look at the planet cards and decide which ones you want put in front of you. The planet cards that you put in front of you will be available for you and you only to either colonize or to conquer. Again, that's part of the rules here that I'm not going to go deeply into. Just for example, we have a 3-powered survey. That basically means I can look at 4 planet cards and decide which one I want to take. Now, that's kind of neat. And again, just like Glory to Rome, then it goes, and your friend might say, well, I'm going to take a survey action, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play that too. It goes around, and you can decide whether you want to follow, just like Glory to Rome, you're going to follow, or you're going to draw an extra card. So that very much is exactly like Glory to Rome. Of course, just like Glory to Rome, the person that leads the role gets a little bit of a different, in this it's, you always get a little special power. The leader can do one extra thing that the followers can't do. And then so forth and so forth. So they'll go to the next person's turn and they will do the same thing. But look, now, look what I just did. I led survey, I pulled it off. So that means those 3 surveys I played are going to go on my discard. Now I suddenly have in my deck 1 more survey card. The more I survey, the more chances I'm going to get survey to come up. And that's kind of neat. I'm not at the whim of how many gold cards I get to whether I can buy the really cool thing. I'm not at the whim of what's out there. These are always out there. I can choose exactly what I want and what I want my civilization to specialize in on each turn. And you know, it always helps. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do it because, for example, technology is special. You basically have to play so many technology cards to buy a tech card. For example, here's a level 1 tech. It's kind of neat. Improved colonize. You got to have 3 tech cards played in order to buy that tech card. So you might not be able to take research and buy a tech. You can always lead research and take it into your hand if you want. You just won't be able to do you won't be able to buy the tech that you wanted. You just got more research into your hand. But that's what I'm saying is really neat, is you're not at the whim of something else as to decide what you want to get better at. You're basically able to choose each turn what you want to increase in your deck. So it's a deck building game where you really have more control over what you're going to build your deck with. And of course, there really is only 5 major actions plus the tech cards. Now the tech cards are cool too. So like I said, you're going to use the research roll here to get the tech cards. And the tech cards are kind of neat in the sense that they act as different things. They all have a special action. So that was improved colonize. Here's improved warfare. collect 2 fighters or attack 1 planet. That's better than regular warfare, which is collect 1 fighter per military you have as far as a planet is concerned. The action, though, I'm sorry, I'm comparing the wrong thing. That was the role. The action is attack 1 planet or collect 1 fighter. For the action of the improved warfare, it's collect 2 fighters or attack 1 planet. So you can get more fighters then with that improved warfare. But it's also kind of neat because as far as it takes for following or boosting, your improved warfare card has a warfare and a research. So it can be used for either research or warfare. There's another improved warfare in a different deck. That was in the same deck, I'm sorry, in a different type, but it's a warfare and a trade. So that's kind of neat. You can look through here. And the way it works when you're buying a tech is these tech decks are always there. They're just sitting out. And once you play research, you're going to grab the tech deck and you're just going to go through it. Now, there are prerequisites in that you have to have certain, this is the advanced planet tech deck. So you're going to have 1 advanced planet for those. All these here, yeah. And then 2 advanced planets colonized before you can get that. So you do have to work. Now, some techs are also not cards. Some are permanents, like this Weapon Emporium that you're just going to put out in front of you and it does a special thing. For example, this says you can trade fighters as if they were resources. That's kind of cool. And that's a neat way of doing it too. I mean, everybody's got the same access. Now that is something a little bit more like Dominion, where your research cards in your deck basically are the currency for those, as well as the planets. Planets are neat too. You've got planets here. They're different types. This is a metallic planet. This is an agriculture planet, and there's the advanced planet. Sometimes they do different things. For example, this advanced planet, it has a nice little research there. So that means if you've colonized it, you always have a free research that you can either use to boost your own actions or follow other people's research role. So that's neat. It's like once you've colonized this planet, there are 2 ways to colonize, depending on how you want to do it. You can colonize by actually colony actions, which is what you'll do is you will stick these colony cards underneath your planet, and right there it's got 3. So once you've actually done 3 under there, you can flip it over and say, oh, I now have that planet. Or you can conquer them. This one would be hard to conquer. You just take 6 fighters. Every military action you take, every warfare action you take, you're going to get some of these fighters. They're neat little fighters. All the same, doesn't matter. They're different. Now you might notice if you've suddenly bought the game Eclipse recently, you might notice these are the exact same ships they use in Eclipse. Must have been a sale somewhere on them. Actually, Eminent Domain had them first, as far as I know, or at least from my perspective. I don't know who had them first. They're all black in this, and again, it doesn't matter what size they are. So you get fighters by leading the warfare role, but you spend fighters with the warfare role. For example, then this, to conquer this planet, it's 6. Now some planets are easier. There's 4. It's harder to colonize. Some planets are cool because they have a little production token here. Using the produce role, you can put a nice little token there. Oh, that's cool. And that using the produce trade role, you can spend these and gain victory points. No other reason to do them. They're not used for anything else. Every time you produce and then you trade and you get victory points. The more produce trade roles that you use on that particular turn, the more different planets you can fill their little production slots with. Or if you use it to trade, the more you can take off. Now there are differences. There's ore, there's wheat, and there's this sort of, I don't know, fuel type thing there. And we can call them dilithium dust or whatever you want to call it. There is a difference in that only so much as that some of the tech cards say you get extra victory points for each type you trade. So there really isn't a whole lot of difference when you're going. The only reason that you go for one particular type of planet is to go up the tech tree. So you might want 2 advanced planets that you can go up the advanced tech tree, or you might want 2 agriculture. Typically speaking, agriculture helps you with colonization, the advanced helps you with trade, and the metal planets help you with warfare. So there is something a little bit kind of like where you can specialize by doing that, and that's kind of fun too, in the sense that that you can go up certain lines, and pretty much in a game you're only going to be able to go up one line, maybe two. You're definitely not going to be able to go up three. Usually, unless it's just a really long game. The game is actually a very fast game, so you're probably going to win. Some planets have victory points. There's 2 right there. Other planets will increase your hand size. That's also very useful. You're going to find that when you're playing this, and you use a survey action, because like I said, you first survey, get to look, then you choose, you put it face down until you're able to colonize or conquer it. You're going to find that when you're using those survey actions, it's going to be a hard choice. You're going to say, oh man, do I want the agriculture planet that has 2 trade slots that I can really get victory points, or do I want the advanced planet where I can get a bigger hand size, because that means more ability to follow and boost my actions, or maybe I want the one that has the free military. I mean, shoot, free military, that's great. I can get a whole bunch of fighters and then be able to conquer. So you're going to have some hard choices here. You got nice little victory point chips. Yeah, they're nice. What's neat too is that for most of the planets they are cards. For your starting planets you get these nice cardboard ones. Totally no reason to be cardboard other than they're fun. I also like this. They have a turn phase. The game is very simple. You only have 3 things. You have action, take a roll, then clean up. That's it. What I really like, I don't know if this is Seth Jaffee's idea or whatever. Look at this. One of the turn things has the start player. Oh my goodness, you divvy these up, say flip it over, and there's start player. No more arguments about who has the start player card. That's just excellent. What a nice idea. Everything just screams well done. You know, some people are going to look at the art here and say, I don't know, that's not really pretty. I mean, you're just staring at these symbols. Yeah, well, but it doesn't distract either. And you know what a survey card is when somebody throws out a survey card. Some people really hate the art on Glory to Rome, right? Sometimes you look at that, it's really distracting. You got 3 or 4 different things. You're not going to get distracted. The card itself is going to tell you what it is. It's really easy. If you want pretty, you're going to get your tech cards. You start getting these tech cards pretty quick. They've got really nice art. I like the art on the tech cards. And that's pretty much it. There's your game. It's very simple. It goes by very quickly. 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Pretty much that's your typical game. I have yet to see a time when we played where we didn't just immediately say, boy, let's play another one. That went by so fast. Let's just play another one. You know, one more game. It has a really neat sense for those who played Magic the Gathering. There's sort of a kind of, although Magic's gotten to the point where it takes, you know, an hour to play a game for some people, but it's got that sort of streamlined boom, 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 let's play another quickly, boom, 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 boom feeling. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was neat. I thought that was fun. You know, Dominion doesn't take very long to play either. This actually, I think, plays a little faster than Dominion even. And it's definitely much more streamlined in the sense that you're not going to be sitting there, oh, I'm going to grab those cards. The only time you're going to gum up is in the tech cards. And they're pretty simple. I mean, Improved Warfare does exactly what Warfare does with just a little added bonus. Improved Colonize does exactly what Colonize. The later ones get a little bit more mobilization. But, you know, it's just down here. You read that. It's pretty simple stuff. For some people, you're going to take forever to decide which one. You'll maximize your hand, minimize, maximize. But for most people, I think it's going to go very quickly. So let me go ahead and clean up, and I'll tell you what I think. Well, you probably already guessed from the exuberant use of superlatives that I really like the game. And I do. I think it's a lot of fun. You know, like I said, there's going to be some criticisms of, well, there's really not that many different types of actions. It's a very limited game. Well, that's true. It is a very limited game. It doesn't have the breadth of Dominion in all the different types of options you can do. It doesn't have the just over-the-top amount of things that can pop up as Glory to Rome, which is, again, I think mechanically speaking, closer to Eminent Domain than even Dominion. So it doesn't have that, but it's streamlined. It takes much less time than Glory to Rome. You can play 2 of these, or maybe even 3, depending on how hardcore your Glory to Rome players are, you can play 2 or 3 of these in the time that it takes to play Glory to Rome. You can definitely play probably 2 in the time that it takes to play a normal Dominion game, unless your Dominion players are just really, really fast as far as they know what they're going to do each turn really quickly. So yeah, it is limited. What about replay? Well, you're going to get through the tech decks. You're going to use the tech decks quite a bit. You're going to use all your different types of strategies for that pretty quickly. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to run through them. And it cries for expansion, obviously. I mean, you're really going to want more tech eventually, or want different planets. There is some randomness. Most of it, there's no randomness, but there is some randomness as far as what you're drawing in your hand each turn, and what planets come up in the planet deck. So there's some randomness there. I would say that you're going to see a lot of replay because of the different types of planet that comes up, and because you can do vastly different strategies each turn. You can go really heavy warfare one time. You can do really heavy colonize the next. You might pretty much always have to do research. I would say that it's very, very difficult. I mean, I guess you could just go super colonize into tons of planets and get points that way, but you're going to do it much more effectively if you do research. So I think everybody's going to have the research strategies. Not much you can do to get around it. So yes, with that in mind, I still think the game is wonderful. It's very simple. It's very easy to teach. It's very easy to pick up. You can play it very quickly. The wife loves it, which is a big thing for me. The wife loves it. And it's not too much for her as a casual gamer, even though I would say with that technology it takes a while maybe for a casual gamer to learn. But once they get over that simple change, that this card's actually 2 things, and it has a little bit better of an action, you pretty much learn it very quickly. The learning curve's very, very quickly overcome. So yes, I think it's a wonderful game. I think it's a lot of fun. Like I said, maybe some problems with replay in the future, in the sense that you don't have the variety of Dominion. You're not going to see from game to game. Well, we have the mine and the cellar and the village in this one. The next game we've got the witch, the cellar again, and maybe something else. You're not going to see that. The tech is always there. The planets are always there. You're going to see different planets. But for a quick game, for a fast game, for one like this, I think that's okay. And I think, if you get 30, 40 plays out of this, and then by that time you're like, well, we've used up every strategy. You still got 30, 40 plays out of a game, and I think you could still find some entertainment. So like I said, given that idea that possibly you're going to be wanting some expansion soon, that it's still a wonderful game. How does it play for 2 players? I've said that's part of the electronic Eremite. We're going to talk about how it plays for 2 players. Excellent. It's an excellent game for 2 players. Why? Well, there's very little interaction between players. It isn't exactly like Glory to Rome, where you're going to see stealing, and you can't hurt other people. You can't conquer other people's planets. You can't colonize other people's planets. So there's not as much of the interaction going on. So for a 2-player game, it's good. I mean, there's not going to add a whole lot from a 3-player standpoint. In fact, you might think it might make it slower to play 3 players, but since you can always follow, just like in Glory to Rome, 3 players probably isn't going to add a lot more time other than the tech deck, looking through the tech deck. 4 players, you can go up to 6 players effectively, which is nice. All in all, it's a really good streamlined 2-player game that can easily be just as fun and just as quick playing with more people. Not much more you could say about that. The artwork is going to be either love-hate, too utilitarian, or just perfect. I think that's an aesthetic difference, and it's really one you're going to have to come on yourself. Theme? I mean, yeah, there's plastic ships, and yeah, everything's labeled sort of space-like. Do I feel like I'm setting up a space empire? No. I feel like Glory to Rome actually has much more of a Roman, I'm building Rome theme than this does. That's okay. Again, everything is meant to be simple. I very much enjoyed it. It was probably one of my wife's favorite games actually this year. For me, I'm not as much into the deck building genre as she is. I really like more of a complicated game. So it was still a lot of fun though, and it's one that you know the wife really likes. That doesn't take but 15 minutes. So if I don't have a lot of time to play, or if I want to play something and she doesn't want to take an hour to play something else, well, we could quickly do 2 or 3 games of this and feel like we've had some fun and a lot of strategy going on, and still feel like we played a neat game. So in that sense, it's perfect. It's a great filler, and the components are easy to set up. So yeah, I very much enjoy it, with some of the caveats like I said, and I hope you enjoy it too. So thanks again, and hope to see you back again for my next review, which hopefully will be the game Eclipse, but more realistically might not be. So we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot for watching.